Okay, Heidi, we are good to go.
Okay, hi, thank you. Hi, so my name is Heidi. I'm here to share some knowledge with you about a really new and cool technique. Hold on, let me just close this window. Uh, I just don't know how to close that. Hold on, give me 1 second here. Need my reading glasses for that. Oh, got it. Okay, so let me just click on that because that's blocking my view. All right, hi everybody. My name is Heidi. I am a GK educator. I've been with GK for about 6 or 7 years now. I love GK. It's been a lot of fun being an educator for them. They train us and keep us on top of the newest, coolest things, which keeps me feeling more confident behind the chair. So today I'm going to go over a really cool balayage technique that will help you pick up some skill, some speed behind the chair because we know, time is money. It's a beautiful technique. It's originated from one of the GK artistic directors, Fernando Longo, out of Italy, and he's just a genius for coming up with this. GK has been, as you guys know, it's been around since 2007. They are #1 in their taming technique for their keratin treatments. The secret behind GK is their Juvexin. Juvexin is a patented protein blend of keratins and proteins that penetrate deep into the hair shaft and are healing and conditioning for the hair, and it is in every single thing that GK makes. So that's kind of exciting for me because it tells me that that company, GK, the company, works very knowledgeably in implementing the best products and the best tools for us. So yeah, I'm going to ramble on. So let me just get right into this whole bamboo balayage technique because that's what you guys are here for, right? So this technique is designed to be more organic, give you a nice soft flow, but it's very customizable. It is something that you can make a lot more intense or you can do it very softly. It is very fun to do. It comes with some amazing tools. We have our bamboo plate. So this plate is textured. So it helps us when we're doing our application, we put our product in here. We have these brushes. So these brushes are a little different than what most people are used to working with when they're balayaging. So these are actually amazing. I thought, I wasn't sure if I would be able to get used to these. And actually the very first time I used them, I was like, wow, these are so much easier to balayage with. They have a great feel to them. And honestly, when you are doing your technique and you're using your plate and you're using your brushes, it's a great presentation. It looks really amazing in the salon. People ask questions. And what I love about it too is it really does work. You really do have control over how much product is on your brush. And the little brush here for detailing is amazing. And what I discovered is because they're round, when you are applying your balayage, there's really no sharp edge. It's a really nice way to get a soft, smooth application, which I'm going to demonstrate for you very shortly. So today we're going to be using the GK Juvexin Lightening Cream. So we use this one because it is white. So we're going to be able to add some tonage to it, which is kind of cool. So we can balayage and we can kind of tone as we go. So this one has acai and argan oil in it, and it's a really nice creamy lightener. It's great for scalp lightening because it's so gentle, but yet it does have power. It can bump you up 8 to 9 levels depending on how you're working, what kind of hair you're working with. So this is a great one for this technique because it is a pure white. It has no tonage in it. And with the bamboo balayage technique, you can go ahead and you can add some tone to it with your actual GK colors. So that's really cool. And at first that blew my mind. I was like, what? You can add color to it? But in the training that we had and we did, it worked amazingly. So what I love about it is if, say, you wanted to add ash, which is what I'm going to do today, to your lightener to keep it a cooler tone, or a blue, or if you want to add green, or depending on what your starting base is and what you're fighting, you can use a color to either emphasize or neutralize as you're lifting. So it's pretty cool, and it actually works pretty well. The other thing that's cool about it is, say you have somebody with dark hair that wants some really vibrant red highlights. Well, if you go in and you do this technique first and you add some of our mixed tone red to our lightener, you're going to be lifting, but you're going to also putting in a reddish tone. So when you go to put a glaze or a color over that hair, it's not going to be as hollow. It's going to be rich and creamy. And I have a mannequin. I'll show you that after. So let's get started with this whole technique because I know everybody's curious about it. So it's designed to be like very customizable. It's got a very natural blend to it. Again, you can go, extreme or you can go soft. It's very, very customizable. So we're going to start off with, let me do the sectioning first. Let me show you how this bamboo technique works because it's actually designed to really save us some time and get a beautiful result at the same time. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to do our 4 quadrants. But we're going to start, let's find her natural part. Her natural part, she's usually a little off to the center, so it's not bad. We're going to go straight with our normal 4 quadrant section. So we're going to go side to side, right down the middle of her head. And then we're going to do our ear to ear. So it always looks nice when you're going to do your sectioning. It's nice to plan it out, but the way the sections is what's going to really save you time. It's going to really map out what you want to do, and you're going to really be able to get it done quicker. So let's just do these 4 sections. So what's nice about this too is once we have these 4 sections, we're going to break them down into smaller sections. And this is when we're going to decide, obviously after our consultation with our guests too, how much lightness they want, how bold they want this balayage to be. So we're going to go for the gold here. We're going to do some nice bold look. So now that I have her in the 4 quadrants, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide, do I want to break it up more? You can break up these 4 quadrants in half. So you have 8 sections. You can break them up into thirds. So you have the 12. You can break them up more and more and more. So for her, we're going to break her up into the 8 sections. So we're going to break this one in half. Now, as you can see, I'm following the shape of her head. I'm going from the top of her crown, and as I'm making my sections, I'm gliding it along her hair, being aware of where these sections fall. So you like to try to make some nice diagonal, everything on the head. I like to keep a triangle or a diagonal. I feel like everything just flows, is softer and smoother when you're doing angles. Straight lines just tend to be, to me, that's when I have the most problem as far as where am I, and it just doesn't fall as softly around the hair, around her head. So we're going in and we're going to section that off, and that first one just feels a little bit thicker. This girl's got a lot of hair, so we're going to go in and just make it a little bit more. So yes, so we're going to go around and we're going to section her off, breaking these 4 quadrants in half. And usually these clips are amazing because they are so good. They hold really well. They look kind of cool when they're on too, honestly. And they're just easy to work with. So again, starting from the crown, and I'm following the hairline, and I'm dividing that in half. So it's kind of similar to the pinwheel, very similar to pinwheel. And we're just making sure we're following the organic shape of the head as we're doing this. So as you can see, she's mostly one length, and she's got a lot of hair. So behind the chair, this would normally take me quite a while if I was doing a traditional balayage application. But wait till you guys see how quick and easy and fun this balayage application is. I do have a mannequin too that I will show you how I did her hair. She has kind of like the butterfly layers, and so with her I did break her up a little bit more, and I will show you exactly how I did that too. We want to make sure sections all match up. Here we go. How many of you you love balayaging. I love balayaging. At first, I was very intimidated. Freehand, it was scary. I was worried about getting holidays or missing spots or having big blotchy. And I was just afraid to get into it. And the more I looked into it and the more I played with it, the more I actually really enjoyed it. So as you can see now, we have her sectioned in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections. So that's her sectioning. That's going to make our life easier when we start our application. So now we're going to go into our mixing. So I'm just going to move these over a little bit. I'm going to get out my scale. So the proper measurement for our Juvexen cream lightener is usually 1 ounce of lightener to 2 ounces of developer. But we are changing that up. We're stepping outside the rules here. We're going to break in some rules, but we're going to do equal parts because we want to make this consistency a little thicker. So I'm going to do 2 ounces and 2 ounces. So I'm going to make 4 ounces. So I'm also going to use 40 volume of our cream developer. Now, GK has cream developers that range from 8, 10, 20, 30, and 40. They are awesome. And again, they have Juvexen in them, which we all just learned that Juvexen is amazing. It has the keratins and proteins in it. So it's even in our developers, it's in our lighteners, it's in all our colors, it's in our color line. So I'm going to just get on this little scale and I'm going to measure out, turn it on, measure out 2 ounces of the cream developer. Now, before we the cream lightener, before we do, we always want to squish that up. I have this thing about shaking everything. I just feel like when things sit, they can separate. And I like to make sure that everything is kind of mixed together. And I do that with a lot of things. I do that like my ketchup. So anyway, it's just good to go in there and mix that up and soften it up. And it does help it dispense a little bit quicker and easier. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put about 2 ounces of this cream lightener in there. You see it's nice and thick. That is pretty close. There we go. Okay. Put that cap back on. Hit my tier button. This little scale from GK is awesome. Portable, it's accurate, keeps me in line. I try to make sure I measure everything. I used to be one of those, I can eyeball it, I know what it looks like. Wasteful. I save so much more in product now when I'm measuring everything out and everything comes out the same every time when I'm mixing my colors. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my 40 volume. And again, I'm going to do 2 ounces of that. So we're doing same amounts, half and half. Come on. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and mix that up. And once I have it mixed up, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a tone. So I'm going to use the Ash Mix tone from the GK color line. The GK color line is amazing. It has 87 shades. It has an ammonia tube, so it'll give you boost if you're needing a little boost in your color line. It has a clear. It also has amazing mixed tones, and the mixed tones are really cool. They're kind of like a fantasy color. They're just very vibrant. You have red, green, the violet, yellow, and blue. So those are like amazing because you can add those to any color in the color line to, again, neutralize or, emphasize color. I actually just used them straight up on a blonde mannequin one time and made a beautiful rainbow with the pinwheel technique. So I really have fun with that. So now we have 4 ounces of color mixed, well, lightener mixed, and we want to go ahead and add our color. So the rule of thumb for this one is that we add 25% of what we mixed up. So I'm going to add 25% of 4 ounces is 1 ounce, right? So I'm going to add 1 ounce of, oh, this one's blue. I'm going to add ash. So we're going to add 1 ounce of ash to this. So let's hit the tear button. If I can get my key on, that would make life a little easier too. Now let's get the key. All right, so I'm going to add 1 ounce of my ash mixed tone. So now you can see I have a pretty good sized bowl of product. And if you think economy-wise, it's really affordable when you think about how much the mixing is with the developer. And the mixed tones and the color line, all of the colors, when you're mixing them, the accurate mixture would be 1 ounce of color to 1.5 ounces of developer. So, you know, the economic it's very much more affordable that way. So now I'm mixing in my ash tone. So now I have my toned lightener ready to go. At this point, normally, if I wasn't doing a mannequin, I would add some of our Shield additive to this. So our Shield additive is an amazing product that GK has. Again, it's loaded with juvexin, the keratins and protein, but it's designed to go in and be like a bond protector, rebuilder, strengthener, and it protects the hair and restores it as it's processing. So this would be the time I would do that. With a mannequin, I'm not going to add that in there because she doesn't need it. So, but anyway, for all of my guests, pretty much, I add the Shield additive in there, and it's 10% of your mixture. So we have, let's say we have 4 ounces of the mixture in there. We'd want to do 10% of that. So I would need a calculator. I usually keep one next to my scale. So anyway, we have our mixture all ready to go. And now I'm going to transfer that onto my bamboo plate. So I've got my brushes ready. I've got gloves ready to go. I always wear my gloves. I'm not one of those that likes to get the burns on the fingers. I like to keep things neat. So we got our gloves ready to go, and now I'm going to transfer some of this product onto my plate. And you can see the consistency of this is really nice. It's very easy and very pliable to work with. So I'm going to bring my girl back over. Now the key to this too is to have her not too high. What you need to do, what we want to do is we're going to be using some gravity. This is designed to be a very natural, soft, flowy look. So we want to have that nice angle. And believe it or not, we're going to be taking this entire section right here. We're going to have some tension. We're going to aim it down towards like our belly button to get that tension. So we want her around our heart level, but we want to angle that hair down to about the belly. And we're going to start with the big brush. And I usually start around the face because that's where I think that we want the most effect. So, you know, some people like to start from a middle section, the back, or wherever you want to start you're comfortable with, that's your call. Also, during a consultation, if there's an area that is a little bit darker or more resistant, you might want to just start there so it has a little bit more process time. I'm going to take my round brush and I'm going to put it in my bowl, in my plate, and I'm going to saturate my brush. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to roll it off onto the texture to get control of how much I have on here. I actually found I like working with a plate better than a bowl also. It's just easier to reload. Like I said, you can scrape off excess. It's just wider and easier for me. And so it's, again, quicker, which is kind of what we're going for here, right? So we're going to go in and we're going to start around mid-shaft. And we're brushing that on the surface of the hair. We're not pushing it in, we're just lightly stroking it. And you can even see, because the brush is round, how softly that application is going on. Let me just turn her a little bit so you can see better. I'm going to reload my brush, so I want to get a good amount on the mid shaft, because this is what I'm going to use to work my way up. And I want to do a very soft effect. So I'm going to go right up with this round brush. Now remember, we have that little brush for fine tuning. So we're going to try to keep our strokes downward. You know, it's really hard to not stroke back up a little bit. I tend to catch myself doing it a little bit here and there, but I try not to do it too much because I don't want that fuzziness. So I'm going to go right up close to her hairline. Again, I'm lifting her up just to get to that spot, but mostly I'm trying to keep that tension pointed down at my belly button. And I'm going to just go right in there and keep applying. And again, when I add more, I usually put it in the middle of the hair section, and then I try to work my way up from there. So I can be a lot more visual. You see that okay? So then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to lift up and I'm going to come underneath. I'm going to cover the whole outside of this section. So by covering the whole outside, I'm going to get a little bit more result than if I just covered the top. And again, that's all preference of what you're doing, what kind of effects you're trying to get the finished look. But again, we're only doing surface. Remember, we're not penetrating that into the center of this. So all the hair that's in the middle of this section is going to stay the color that it was when she walked in the door. And we're focusing on the outside of this whole section. So now that I have that coated really nicely, and I feel like I got a nice even coating on there, I'm going to take my smaller brush and apply, get that, dip it in there, rub it around and get the right amount of product on that I want. And I'm going to start again from below where I want it to be, and I'm going to work my way up. So I have a little bit more control. I say a little bit, but I have a lot more control with this little brush. Put it in again. I want to get very, very close to her money piece right here. I am going to lift her up so I can see what I have underneath. And I can see under here, I do want to add a little bit more here. Now, if you get product where you don't want it, don't worry about it. I'll show you a trick. Let me just finish this one application right here. Sorry, honey. So I have that on there. I have a pretty good amount on the underneath. I do see I need a little bit more over here. Again, we're going to pull that tension again. So let me just show you a little trick when you get that color where you don't want it, or that lightener where you don't want it. Go up a little bit. And what I do, I'm just doing a little bit of that just to get right up close. I keep a clean applicator brush on hand, and I use it as an eraser. A dry, clean applicator brush. And we can go in, and we can wipe off any spots that we think we don't want that. So I want to just take a little bit right out of there. And then I want to add a little bit more right in through here. Bring it back down for my tension so I can see. We're all being creative here. This is very, very much our art creation. How hard you want to go with it, how soft you want it to go. It's all in your, your creativity. So when I get down to this point, I'm going to get the bigger brush again. Now that I'm happy with my application on the top of the section. And I'm going to go in and I'm just going to really saturate the bottom. Like really saturate the bottom. And that is my first section. I'm just going to double check. You can always just tweak it a little bit. I want to just come down a little bit more right in here. And this is a cream lightener with the oils in it, so it doesn't dry as fast. So that's kind of what's nice about the open air balayaging with this, is that it's going to stay a little bit wet a little bit longer, so you can leave it on there for quite a while. Of course, you've got your Juvexin in there, acai, all these nice things in there. So as you're lifting, and if you have your Shield additive in there too, everything's rebuilding, and you don't have to be really nervous about the condition of the hair, because it's going to be fine. It's going to be beautiful because you have the right things in there. So I'm going to turn her a little bit. I'm going to do the other side of her face. Hopefully everybody can see everything okay. So I feel like this section needs a little bit less. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to repeat that over here. I always keep a spare towel on hand to wipe my hands off in between and a comb, smoothing out my section. And again, I'm going to go in with my round brush and I'm going to dump on product that I want to use to spread through the hair shaft.
Hi, Heidi.
Hello.
It's Joan from Tampa.
Who is it?
It's Joan from Tampa.
Hi, Joan. How are you?
Great. I wanted to just ask a question. I know that you're using the cream bleach, and we have those 87 beautiful shades of GKHair Color. So, because I don't know a lot about the balayage treatment, I wanted to ask you regarding the colors. I have some questions from clients, about toners, about, using the mixed tones in this particular balayage. So maybe you can emphasize on that for me, please.
Sure. So you want me to emphasize on using them with this balayage?
Yes.
Okay. So what we can do is we can add color to our lightener mixture, and that's going to help tone the hair as it lifts. So I like to use mixed tones because I feel like they're more vibrant, but you can add any color in our swatch book, any color that we have, and it will help support whatever finished tone you're looking for. A lot of times when we're done with lightener, we want to go in and we want to tone, or we're looking for a certain tone and we lift up, and sometimes we get right on the mark, or sometimes we need to just tweak it a little bit to make it perfect. So this helps us get to that goal quicker and easier. So for instance, say my guest wanted to have, like I was saying, more of a vibrant red added to her darkness, and we're going to go in and do this technique. I would add the red mixed tone in here. So as I'm lifting, I'm leaving in some red, so that way when I go back over and glaze it or color it, it makes the color I'm putting on top of it even more vibrant. Or if I'm trying to save some time in the salon and I want to keep her balayage just on a cooler side and I don't really have time to do a lot of toning, by adding the blue or the ash to neutralize any warmth or gold as I'm lifting, that's going to help me in that area. So it's a lot of it is your creativity and what your end goal is. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for the question. So I found that, this method too, you can really pick up some speed in the salon with it. Because when you have somebody with a lot of hair, long hair, it can take a while to get that application on. But when you have a technique like this that works in this manner, it's awesome because you save time. It looks cool as it's processing. And you can kind of, like I just said, we can get some tonage in there. So 9 out of 10 times, we don't really have to glaze or tone. But if we do, we're very, very close to our desired finished look already. So it's pretty easy to achieve that without too much effort. So 9 out of 10 times too, if you just want to do something in the bowl, you can. GK has some great options for that too. We have some, we have our purple bombshell shampoo that will cool it down. We have our masks, our color masks, which I will show you. I have a ultraviolet one here that is very cooling. So that's something that, you don't have to go in there with a really strong color or neutralizer or toner. If you get that lightened pre-look already when, with your balayage application. So saving time is saving money. And like I said too, it just really looks pretty cool when you're doing this in the salon. Sometimes more often, a lot of people are doing suites now, but when you're in a salon with other girls or other stylists, and you see something cool going on in that chair, you want to be part of that, and so do your guests. So let me just lift up now and see what I have going on underneath. And because it's an oil lightener, like I said, it stays a little bit on the more wet side. It doesn't start drying off while you're doing your application. It is just a very, very easy product to work with. And these brushes they really don't leave like a harsh line. So you can get right in there. Let's just check that. We want to make it a little bit more detailed here. You can see I'm doing little strokes, trying to keep everything going away from her scalp instead of towards her scalp. It's kind of hard to do sometimes. You get in that habit of doing a little backstroke, and I don't want to do that right now. So by getting the right amount of product on my little brush, I'm getting right in there, and I'm just changing that tension a little. I want to keep that tension. That tension is key when you're working. As you can see when it splits, you can see the depth inside, that we're not coloring the hair that's in the middle of that shaft, middle of that section. And I just feel like it's a little dark right on the top here, so I'm just gonna go right in here a little bit more. And again, I'm not pushing, I'm just painting it right on the surface. And honestly, these tools are really easy to handle, really easy to hold. They're not like skinny little handles, so you have a good grip on them. And then, like I said, I'm going to go right in here and I'm going to saturate this end. Here we go. So Fahad has some information of the shield additive that I was talking about, which is something really should be added to pretty much any balayage, any lightening service that you want to do, just because it will go back and it will like replenish and really make the hair, keep it healthy and strong and give it that beautiful shine when you're done. So between the Juvexin and all the right steps that we take to keep things healthy and nice, this is going to be gorgeous when she's done. I'm going to turn her and I'm going to start working my way around. So I'm going to do the second section in on both sides. So in the training, we were also taught that, and I will show you the steps of that, but when you have curly hair or really layered hair, we would actually go in and we would break these sections in half. So let me just show you on her, and then I'll show you my mannequin that I did that to. So I tend to come in and do a little bit of an angle downward, and I break up that section in half. But you want to make sure you have like a top and a bottom, not so much side to side. So we have a top and a bottom. So if she had a lot of layers, I would clip this section out of the way, and then I would start with this bottom section with my application, lay it down, and then come up with the shorter section that would have been layered, and then do the same thing. And also with curly, like really curl textured hair, you want to do that only because you want to get in between. When curls curl up, they can tend to get together, and you'll have more of a softer flow by breaking it in half than if you just do the surface. You will have less of a softer flow, less of an organic look to it. So I'm going to go right in now with this one. I'm going to add a little more product to my plate. You guys can see all that, right? So my product and my plate and everything is like right here, handy dandy. I usually keep a couple extra tools on hand because I do have a little bit of a gravity problem. Anybody that knows me knows that I tend to drop a lot of stuff all the time. So I usually have an extra set of tools. I usually have extra combs, extra clips. I also have towel on hand to wipe my hands. Because like I was saying, I do have a little bit of a gravity problem. Get that piece in there. So we can go up and work our way up in this section. So I keep trying, you try to get that product, put it in the middle very gently, and then work your way up to her scalp. And you don't have to go right up to her scalp if she wants more of like the ombre balayage, or if you want to get closer to her scalp, you can obviously use the little brush to get in there too. But you do want to keep that tension, and you want to keep bringing it back to that angle from the scalp to your belly button, just so you can see where all the placement is. And then we're going to go right in and we're going to paint up with that little brush again. There we go. And keep in mind too where this lives on her hair. So this section goes above her ear, so I want to get right in there. I'm going to move that hair out of my way. I'm going to get right in there and just paint that little bit, and it went on just perfectly. And that's that. And once you get going, your speed will pick up too. That's one thing I noticed when I do this. It's like I start off, and that's why I like to start in the front too, because I can be very picky and particular and get those pieces and that money piece nice and saturated. And then as I'm moving along, it just gets a little easier and easier to just whip this process right out quickly. Like we said, time is money in the salon. There we go. Make sure that's saturated. You see one more spot. I'm going to just go in and I want to just brush that up a little. Don't do a lot of back brushing, but I just want to bring that up a little bit higher. And then I want to take this brush because I just wanted that a little narrower right there. And you see how that just erased that? I hope you saw that. I'm not blocking the view. So that is that section. So then I'm going to turn her around. I just saw a little spot. Don't be afraid to go in there if you see something and make sure you got it all even. Even when I'm done, I'll turn her around and just check for spots that I may have missed or just something I might want to tweak. They appreciate when you're fussy on them. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do my second section in on this side. Turn her this way. So when I was doing I did an in-person class with this, and one of the girls just loved the fact of how this round brush, when you put the product on the hair, doesn't leave a sharp line. It's very soft, leaves a soft line at the application. So it's a lot easier to really just get in there and just, you know, tweak it and make a nice soft blend. It's very organic. And it's actually kind of fun to do. And again, like I said, I'm just trying to keep pulling that right down towards my belly button. Keep an eye where I'm at. So by adding that ash mixed tone that I put in there, it's going to tone her a little bit as she's lightening. So when I wash her, she's going to have a beautiful tone in her hair of the blonde. Now right here's where I'm going to lift it up, and I want to just get a little closer right around the face framing. Move that out of my way. And you just visualize where you're putting your lightener is where it's going to be lighter, right? So we want to keep that in mind as we're applying. There we go. So I always start a little lower than where I want to be finished. And I'm really liking how that looks. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to saturate her end. And she needs a good haircut, so we know we're going to be giving her a nice haircut too, but we just want to make sure those ends are sealed up and have the product on them. So far, we have the front half of her hair done, right? Now we're going to move to the back. So I just, like I said, I like to keep a pattern, keep track of where I'm going. So I'm actually going to come back to her the other side of her head where I ended up last time. And I'm going to work my way to this one, and then I'm going to do this one, and then I'll do this one, and then I'll do this one. Does that make sense? I mean, that's my plan. Again, this is also about being creative, having the freedom of your own interpretation of what you want it to be, very artistic. But the whole bamboo technique is designed about the natural flow, the growth of the hair coming off of the scalp, coming down. And it's just really pretty. And I like I said, I do really enjoy doing it. So let me see, customizable. I was like, I feel like I should be gabbing more. Like, I feel like I talk so fast, I get everything out of me too quickly. And again, if I wanted a more stronger result, I could divide these sections in half and go in and really saturate smaller sections. And
Hi, Heidi. This is Megan. How are you doing?
Hi, Megan. How are you?
Good. This is looking great. I've been watching. So would you say that this is like a heavy one? Because I just heard you saying you could make it heavier by dividing.
You know, that's a really good question. Thank you for asking. I would not say, believe it or not, it looks heavy, but because of the size of the sections, everything inside this section is going to stay her natural tone. So what you see with the lightener on it is the pieces that are going to be light. So it's actually not that heavy. It's very soft and natural looking.
Okay, so this is really not going to be very like invasive on the hair. It's really just.
It's going to be noticeable. It's going to be very soft and flowy, but it's not going to be really, really like a heavy balayage. I do have a mannequin here. I will show you that I did where I broke in half and I did smaller sections, and then you'll see that balayage and how much more vibrant that, you know, how much that looks. So it's really cool. Yeah, so this is.
Yeah, I'm excited. The appearance is definitely that it looks heavy just because it's like all we see is the lightener, but that's really
it does. It looks heavier than it actually is, so don't let that scare you. Because again, everything living inside this section, I'll take one that I have inside an application. Everything in here is not getting colored. So all that's getting the color or the lightener on it is only the outside. And you can actually see when it splits, the depth inside. So you're only doing the surface of these. So when it falls after you wash it, the depth and the softer ones are going to flow together, and it's going to be a nice, soft, beautiful balayage rather than a very dramatic one.
Oh, okay. And then with the ends, are you leaving those out to do them last so that because they're already a little lighter?
So I'm leaving the ends out just so I have control to hold them until I'm done with the application, and then I go in and I saturate them.
Okay, so it's because of the tension to get the placement.
It's just so I have all the tension that I need and the control that I want. So that's it. So when you're doing this, you can keep that in mind that, you know, these outer pieces, you can see I'm only painting it on the surface. I'm not forcing it through. So only the outer layer is getting lightened. And then I do saturate the ends for a brighter end. But I hold on to them until I'm done and I'm happy with my application on the rest of the section. And then I saturate them. Just that way it keeps it neater, cleaner, and I have better grip over it.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's just my personal preference. This is one of those things that, you know, I'm going to show techniques and I'm going to show how I do it and how, you know, how much I like doing it this way. But like with everything, you can take it and make it your own. Once you learn this technique, you can really just take your own twist on it. You can, like I said, you can break up the sections. You don't have to saturate the ends if you don't want to. But once you start doing this, it's fun, it's quick, it's easy, and it really does, it just looks beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to saturate the bottom end now. But I do have it, you know, I do like to try to visualize it. But once you do the first one, it's mind blowing how awesome and beautiful and easy it is to do. I'm just going to pick her up, and I do like that, but I want to make sure I have that bottom section is really saturated without penetrating into the hair till I get to the bottom, and then I really soak it up. And like I said, we have all the nice oils in there, the Juvexin in here, the Shield additive, if you want, when you put that in, all that's in there working with your lightener. So you're not drying her hair or damaging her hair, but you're giving her a beautiful, soft, shiny, healthy color. So I just want to lift that up. Bring it back to my tension. So it does. It looks like it's going to be a really heavy balayage, but it's not. It's going to be like a nice soft one. But the color where we're putting it stays stays in place and it just stays nice and damp, so it does a nice job lifting it to the lightness that we're looking for. So you can see how quickly, I mean, I'm taking my time, I'm talking, and how quickly this balayage is going on. And when it looks really nice, when you have something processing and it looks really nice like this, it's very rewarding just to see the application and the process of it. It's really nice to see in the salon. Like I said, when I work with a couple other girls, and when we do something like this, we're all like kind of envious of each other. Like, oh, I wish I was doing something really cool looking like that. But what's nice about it too is the guests see it and they're like, what's she doing? Can you do that to me? And I love when they do that.
And are you just changing between the large one and the small brush?
So I'm using the large brush for heavier, more not saturation, but heavier application. So I like the big one. I try to dump a lot of product like in the middle of that section with the big one. And then I use the little one just to do a little more defined and detailed work. So the big one is for most of the application, and then the little one is more for just doing a little detail when I get around the face or closer to the scalp. Or say I just get there and I'm like, say right here, I just put it on here and I want to just control that a little bit, that product. So I have my littler brush, I can go in and really control better what I'm doing. So it's just a matter of the little brush has a little bit more detail to it. You know, you can get in, and then if you don't like something, like I said, you can wipe it off with a nice clean brush. But the big brush is part of what makes it quicker and easier, because you see how fast that's going on and how nice it's evenly applying that product. So between the bowl having that texture to it, I can control how much product is on the big brush, and then I can go in and I can paint really nicely and get a really quick, even coverage. So that's part of what makes this more fun, is it's easy, it's quick, it's very rewarding. So I think I want to say about 80% of what I do with the big brush. And then I'll just go back with that little brush, like I said, for some fine detailing. And I try to dump that product where I already have product and then work my way up in little strokes. Every now and then, the old habits they don't die easily, and I tend to just back brush a tiny bit just to get that last little spot where I need it. But I don't like to back brush much because I don't want to frizz that little spot. But I like to have the control of this little one. When I first saw these brushes, I'm like, oh, that's not going to be easier, that's going to be harder. Mm-hmm. So I was super amazed at how much easier these brushes made it, and how much easier they're to hold in my hand, because they have a little bit more of a sturdy end to them. It just, you feel a little bit more artsy-fartsy, if that's an actual word.
Yeah, it definitely looks cool. And it also seems like it goes really fast. Like you did that whole section really fast with the heavy brush, or the—
Yep, absolutely. And that's the thing. Once you get moving, like once you get a groove for it, it goes really quickly. So even with, if I had smaller sections and I was doing this, it's still, the application is pretty quick. And I mean, like we always say, you want to work smarter, not harder, right? So I want to just get right in there. So yeah, so I just, like I said, the little one I do more for just a little bit of detailing. And the bigger one is like pretty much what I do most of the job with. So now I've got these last two sections. And like I said, I kind of bounce back and forth, but whichever way you don't get lost is what works. That's how I am. I tend to, I'm very easily distracted. If you know me, you know that. Megan's probably laughing, shaking her head. Yes, she is. So anything that keeps me on track makes me happy.
But it's nice also that this is like open air lightning.
It's open air, absolutely. That's why we use the 40 volume. Somebody asked at one of the classes if you can incubate, and I mean, once you do this and you make it your own, you can grow off of this, but it's designed to be open air. But you know, like anything, we're artists, we're going to do what we want to do with it, right? But yeah, it's definitely designed to be open air, and that's why we use the 40 volume, and we have the cream lightener and then the toner in there, so they all work together. And honestly, if I wanted to take a haircut and do a shampoo blow dry while this was processing, I wouldn't be nervous. I know that it's going to go nice and steady. I have time to do it. It's gentle, but it's going to lift nice. And it's not a scary product to work with at all. A lot of lighteners, like I said, a lot of people get afraid of doing a balayage. They're afraid of the lightener being spotty. But with this product and this technique, it's really easy to get a nice smooth effect. I haven't run into that where I've had any blotchy or I missed a spot, because we also map it out nicely and the application goes on so smoothly. So yeah, no, you can just use, it's designed to be open air, but like I said, once you master anything, I recommend people, you want to experiment with it, but this is the way we are taught to do it, and this is the way you do get the best result.
Yeah, and it seems like with the cream too, you have so much control with the lightening. It just stays exactly where you're putting it.
Isn't it? Yes. And you can see that it doesn't, like, it's not spotty. It doesn't start to change consistency as it's sitting here. It stays the same. It doesn't, you know, bubble up or clump up, or it's just very, very smooth and easy to work with. I really like it for balayaging. And you can see, like, I can dump a whole bunch of it on that surface, and then very easily I can spread it around. So it's very, very nice as far as consistency, thickness, to have control in your placement. It really makes balayaging so much easier. You're not like nervous about, okay, that's a thicker spot, that's a thinner spot. It goes on so much smoother and easier. So I do. It's a lot of fun to do this. And you can see, even with the big brush, I'm getting nice softness towards the top of the section. So I really only need to take that little brush, you know, to maybe do a little more detail around the scalp if I wanted to go a little bit higher with the lightener. But these sections back here too, you can see, because we're by the nape, it's not as hard to like see where you're placing it. But I try to, like, once you get in the habit of placing that product in the middle of the section and then working it up, you know, working it down and then working up, but at a downward motion, the control you have, especially like I said with this cream lightener, it's just really nice. I don't know that I'll ever balayage with a different lightener now. I know that sounds a little biased, but once you start, you find something that just wows you, it's kind of hard to step away from it, right? So I am doing
and in the beginning, I missed the beginning. So your formula, you have mixed in the color, right?
Yes, I added some ash. 25% of my mixture is, I added the color. So first I mixed up the lightener, and I did equal parts the lightener and the 40 volume. The regular way to mix the lightener is 1 ounce of lightener to 2 ounces of developer, but because of this consistency that I want, and because I'm going to be adding more to there, it's the equal amounts. So I did 2 ounces of the cream lightener, 2 ounces of 40 volume, and then once that was mixed up, 25% of that, so I did 1 ounce of the ash mixed tone, just so that way as it's lifting, it keeps a cooler tone. And I actually have a mannequin that I did already prepare, and I'll show you her with the same formula. So you can see what a beautiful blonde it came out. I didn't tone her. I just washed her with the Shield shampoo and conditioner with the Shield conditioner, and it's gorgeous. So it's nice to have that little bit of a tone in there when you're balayaging. Like I was saying, if you wanted to, your end result was going to be a red or a copper, you can add a red or a copper. So when you're lifting, you're putting a little bit of that base color in there, so it's not as hollow when you go over afterwards if you want to put a color through the whole head. And I do have a mannequin to show you something similar to that too. So I have plenty of product here. I probably mixed more than I needed, but numbers aren't my friend, so I tend to round numbers off and just kind of make it easier for the math. So this is my last section. And I'm constantly looking back over as this is working and making sure I am happy with my application. And so far I am, and that was pretty quick. So I'm going to reload my brush and keep going. So what's nice, like I said, I didn't add a mixed tone to this, but you can add any color from the color line. So you could add, I mean, some people I have never tried it, but I've heard that by adding like a drop of a one or like a black keeps it cool. I've never tried it. I don't have to with this color line because I have an ash, so I can just add what I need in there. But I could add a copper hue in there. I mean, there's some beautiful tones in the GK color line that are just gorgeous. And by adding them in here, I could change the overall look when I shampoo her out. And I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of people believe you have to tone and you have to glaze after you highlight. I'm not from that generation. I feel like a good conditioner, a good, you know, if you bring it to a tone you're happy with, you can leave it and you can just give a nice deep conditioner to shut that cuticle down and lock in that tone you have. But what's really great about with the GK color line too is we also have those conditioners that are tinted. We have the color mask. So we have like ultra blonde one, we have a red, we have a purple. So there are different things you can do when you're done if you want to play with your finished result. I also have here what we call the bombshell mask, which is one of my go-tos for toning my blondes in the sink. It's a little tube. I'm going to demonstrate it, but I have to talk about it because I get so excited. It's this little vial right here. In this little vial mixed with water, you whisk it together with warm water, and then you pour it over the hair after you shampoo, and you wait till I show you it. It's bright blue, and it cools down and tones, and it's amazing for like balayage, because sometimes we just want to tone the hair that's lightened. We don't want to touch the natural hair. So, you know, we don't want to put any kind of developer or anything with power. So we want to do it with a conditioner or something soft, right? So that's perfect. So we can do that. You pour that over the blonde highlighted hair, and it just cools it down and gives it a deep conditioning treatment at the same time. And what was a really pleasant surprise when we started using it was the way that the client in the sink rolls their eyes back and go, oh my God, that feels amazing. You pour this warm, creamy conditioner over their hair and massage it in. I was like, well, that's a bonus. So there's my application, guys. That was pretty quick, right? So she's gonna sit and process. And I am gonna sit here just for a minute, and just if there's any little dots or anything I wanna just tweak, I can do that right now. But overall, I actually am very happy. And you know, when you look at your work and you're happy, how much confidence does that give you behind the chair? How much does it make you want to do it again and again and bring in more people to be doing this? So confidence behind the chair is huge. For me, it is. I'm gonna move her over here and I'm gonna let her do her thing, and I'm gonna let her process. Take off these gloves. So I'm gonna show you my girl that I did the same thing with, but I divided each section 3, and then I divided them in half. So this is the same formula on my mannequin, and I did the basic 4, and then I broke each quadrant down into 3 sections. And then when I was applying it, actually, let me move this mannequin over. I want to use my tripod. Take her. She's on there. Move her over here. And let me show you how I did that, because I had a lot of fun doing it. Talk about quick, beautiful results. I mean, isn't that gorgeous? For a mannequin, mannequins don't lighten easily. And usually you have to fight their tone. So what I did for her is I did do the 4 quadrants. And she parted in the middle, so I kept it in the middle. When I'm working around the face is usually when I tweak what I'm going to do. So from ear to ear. Down the middle. So yeah, she was one of the ones I was just like, what happens if I take smaller sections? And then what happens if I divide those in half while I'm working? How am I going to do that? What makes it easier? So I did this so I could come up with like a technique that worked easiest. So what I discovered was dividing her into 3. Again, I started at the crown, and I divided that section into 3 sections. Turn her so you can see her. Now, next thing thing about a mannequin is she doesn't care if you get stuff in her face. When you have a live client, you want to be a little bit more careful than that. And then I divided this one again. And as you can see, they're all kind of rectangular, kind of flowing with the flow of her hair, of her head. I went in and I sectioned, so I did her whole head this way. So she would have a lot more of a vibrant result. And then the same thing in this section. Put a clip in here. And so it, again, by planning it and mapping it out, it was very easy to do this application. And it actually looks pretty cool while you're doing it. Here and then here. And I'm only going to do this half. I'm not going to go make you watch me separate her whole head. So when I wanted to come in and I was ready to balayage her, what I learned was I pulled this one out of the way and I did my application. And you can actually see, you see that? You can actually see where I laid that product down. And I went in and so I laid it down in this one. And then I laid it down in this one. I love that I can find my lines. It's just amazing. And then I went in and I did the front one because I didn't want it to hang in her face. So I did it, the application towards me. And then when I went to lay it down, I just kind of picked it up and I laid it over this way. But you can actually see by pulling her this way, you can actually see my application, which is really cool. So you can see where the lighter is. And then I just placed her over like this and let her process.
Hey, Heidi.
Yes?
It's Victoria. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I love that you're doing this application. It's one of my favorites. Quick question. Are you doing 8 sections or 16?
So the display I did 8 sections. On her, I did 3. Yeah, because I'm on the camera and I'm nervous. So I did 3 sections per quadrant. So 3,
okay.
6, 12. So
12. Okay.
So
okay.
I wanted to mimic my bamboo pictures.
Right.
So that's what I did. So on her, so I did, but let me show you what I did when I got to the sections in the back where there was, so that helped with the front. But see the back, I learned that you want to do the top section first. So I broke it in half. Probably can't find my line now. Pretty close. So I broke it in half and I would clip one out of my way. And then I would do the application on this section, which I would try to make a nice clean line. So I would do the bottom half of that section, the balayage, and then I brought this piece down and I just did this section. So that way, when her layers fell, she had color everywhere I wanted it. And that way, because to get that tension, you see the layers would fall out. So just to have more control and get better placement, I would divide. So I would subsection my section again, and I would put the bottom one, and then I would do the top one. And I went around her whole head and I did that. And it actually looked really nice processing too. That's what's really cool about this application is when it's processing, it just looks really nice. Like I look at it and I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to wash that because I can't wait to see how it looks when I blow dry her out. And she just, because she has like kind of more like a butterfly or layered effect, you can see that the color from doing the 2 sections is everywhere I want it to be.
Nice.
And that depth in there in between where I didn't break up, I just did the surface of each section. So you have all that depth, but look how beautiful and naturally and softly that flows.
Right. And also like if she had a lot more density, you would do that too, right?
Absolutely. Density, thick, curly hair, because when you wear hair curly, it shrinks up. So it would bunch up and it would just look a little bit more blotchy if we didn't break it up like that. You probably can't tell super curly hair. So if you were to do this for me, you would definitely have to do sections like I just showed you.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Heidi.
Yeah, gorgeous. And this is the same formula that I just did the application. So, and I didn't tone her. Like I said, I used the Shield shampoo and the Shield conditioner on her, some serum and some leave-in conditioner. I blow dried her out and styled her with my GK flat iron, and she looked pretty sexy. I was happy with it. I'm like, geez, I wish my hair looked like that.
I know, right?
What I wanted to demonstrate was the, because I love this. I can't speak highly of it. And so many times I try to describe this little bombshell conditioning mask. And I tell people, wait till you see, wait till you use it. It's beautiful. And I'm like, why don't I just demonstrate it? So I just want to, for anybody who hasn't seen it, I have an ounce of water and I'm going to put it in my clear bowl. And then I'm going to use half of this because I'm trying to reserve a little bit for later. But usually it's 2 ounces of water to one of these tubes. So I'm doing half and half. So I go in there and I'm going to squirt about half of what's in here. If I can get it off. In here.
Hi, what is the tube?
There's only half ounce in here, so about 1/4 ounce. And then you use warm water. And then I have a little whisk. I don't know if you guys can see that blue that is. I'm trying to, and then you just whisk it up. And it turns to a beautiful blue conditioner. You see that? I know, that's why we've got a clear bowl. So that literally with warm water will get thick and creamy. And when you condition somebody's with this, you're not doing anything to harm or alter the natural tone of the hair, but the lightened hair will absorb this deep conditioner and tone and get deep conditioned at the same time. So this is something that if I don't have 3 of them in the back room, my girl Becky kind of wigs out. You need to do a little more. I'm like, we have 3, don't worry. But she like panics if we don't have enough on hand. So it's amazing. That is her go-to after pretty much all of her highlights in her balayage. But if you do decide you do want to go in there and deep condition and get even a cooler result with a conditioner, the GK ultraviolet mask is amazing. So this one also is designed to keep blondes really cool. And I'll just like to rub that on the back of my hand. So that is the tone of it. It is an ash tone. So if you think about, like, if I leave that on for a second, if you think about putting that on freshly highlighted hair and then you wipe it off, you can actually see, it looks almost like I have a bruise, but it cools and tones the hair without over toning. So it's gorgeous. So we have little tricks of the trade to make our life easier, for sure. But these color masks are amazing. Also, when you're doing this balayage and you're going to put in the Shield additive, what you want to use afterwards would be the Lock Me color mask. So once you get to the tone that you're looking for, once you've washed her out, this Lock Me mask will lock in the repairing that the Shields did, but it will also help hold and keep the color shiny and vibrant and hold the color. So the Lock Me mask is definitely a must on my back bar also. So yeah, is there any, oh, I know, I meant to show you. So say you had somebody who wanted a similar to result like this, where you see the reds in there. If she has a natural dark hair and you went in and you did this technique that we just did and you added red mixed tone to your lightener, you would already have a red base in there. So when you went over with a red glaze or a red tone, it would keep it more vibrant and strong and help prevent it from fading. So I had a woman that actually gave me that idea when I taught a hands-on class in New York. I was demonstrating the bamboo technique, and she said, so when you add the mixed tone, she said, I did a girl's hair, I pre-lightened her, and then I put the mixed tone over it. It was pretty, but it was still a little hollow. She's like, if I was to have used red in my lightener, it would have gave it more backbone and more oomph. And I'm like, absolutely. So she actually taught me a little bit of something, like open my eyes up a little bit more. So if you think about what your end result was going to be, you can add whatever you're looking for when you're pre-lightening for that. That was pretty cool. I'm glad she brought that up. She was super excited because she was going to go back and try it on her girl the next time she did her hair. So anyway, I think, did I cover everything? I think I might have covered everything. Does everybody have any questions? quiet. Well, I want to thank you for being here and letting me show you the bamboo technique. I love it. I encourage you to give it a try. Don't be scared. It's awesome. It's smooth. It works great. These tools are amazing. Made my life so much easier behind the chair when it comes to doing the balayage. So thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Heidi.
Heidi.